Moscow's top diplomat has warned his government would take responsive measures to an upcoming massive U.S. military deployment and U.S.-led exercises across multiple European states bordering Russia. Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov told official government newspaper Rossiyskaya Gazeta in an interview Monday that naturally, we will react to the NATO Western Military Alliance's Defender Europe 20 exercise, which is due next month to begin facilitating the largest U.S. military deployment to Europe in 25 years. The majority of the drills are set to take place in May and June, involving some 36,000 personnel including 25,000 from the US across Germany, Poland and the Baltic states of Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania. Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov told official government newspaper Rossiyskaya Gazeta in an interview Monday that naturally, we will react to the NATO Western Military Alliance's Defender Europe 20 exercise, which is due next month to begin facilitating the largest US military deployment to Europe in 25 years. The majority of the drills are set to take place in May and June, involving some 36,000 personnel including 25,000 from the US across Germany, Poland and the Baltic states of Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania. We cannot ignore these processes, which are of great concern, but we will respond in such a way that does not create unnecessary risks, Lavrov added. It's unavoidable. I hope that any normal military official and politician understands this. Those who provoke this kind of absolutely unjustified doctrine want a response in order to continue to escalate tensions, he added. But it's worth noting that everything that we do in response to the threats created by NATO members to our security we do exclusively on our own territory. Just like all our nuclear weapons are on our territory, unlike American nuclear weapons. Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov told official government newspaper Rossiyskaya Gazeta in an interview Monday that naturally, we will react to the NATO Western Military Alliance's Defender Europe 20 exercise, which is due next month to begin facilitating the largest US military deployment to Europe in 25 years. The majority of the drills are set to take place in May and June, involving some 36,000 personnel including 25,000 from the US across Germany, Poland and the Baltic states of Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania. US Army Europe describes Defender Europe 20 as the deployment of a division-size combat credible force from the United States to Europe, the drawing of equipment, and the movement of personnel and equipment across the theater to various training areas. The large-scale movement is linked to 6 major US-led exercises. Allied Spirits I, Dynamic Front 20, Joint Warfighting Assessment 20, Sabre Strike 20, Swift Response 20 and Trojan Footprint. NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg insisted Monday that Defender Europe is not directed against any particular country, according to an article by Agence France Presse and Japan's Jiji Press, featured in the Japan Times and shared by NATO spokesperson Onel Angescu. Russia has every right to feel secure within its borders, but so do our member states. NATO was formed in 1949 as a collective security pact to defend against the Soviet Union and has since grown into a 29-member alliance that has expanded eastward to Russia's borders. Moscow formed its own Cold War-era treaty, the Warsaw Pact, in 1955, but the agreement fell apart along with the Soviet Union in 1991, and every sovereign member other than Russia has since joined NATO. Other nations such as Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania that gained independence from the Soviet Union have also joined the US-led coalition, expressing concern that Russia was again attempting to assert its influence across the borders of Eastern Europe. Moscow, however, has argued that it was NATO destabilizing regional security by allowing the Pentagon to deploy advanced missile defense systems since Washington left the Anti-Ballistic Missile (ABM) treaty in 2002. Both NATO and Russia have bolstered their flanks in response to growing tensions surrounding Ukraine in 2014, when Russia annexed the Crimean Peninsula in a disputed referendum and was accused by the US and its allies of funding an eastern cross-border insurgency there. On Tuesday, 4 Russian Su-30SM and 2 Su-24M fighter jets attached to the Black Sea Fleet carried out training bombing attacks on the location of the conditional enemy at the OPIC training ground in Crimea's Mount Konchakskaya. The US also left the 1987 Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces (INF) treaty last year after accusing Russia of developing a banned mid-range missile. The move has paved the way for both countries to deploy mid-range missiles not seen in Europe for decades. With another critical non-proliferation agreement, the new Strategic Nuclear Arms Reduction Treaty (START) on the line, Moscow has sought to immediately open talks to renew the agreement before it expires 1 year from Wednesday, something that would remove all limits and mutual monitoring measures for the world's 2 largest nuclear stockpiles. President Donald Trump's administration has instead sought a new, wider-ranging agreement involving more countries and new weapons platforms, as both Washington and Moscow seek to modernize their arsenals. Russia is developing and has begun to deploy a number of high-tech and hypersonic weapons billed as invincible to the US, which has scrambled to establish its own such capabilities. The Pentagon has also charged Moscow with conducting low-yield nuclear warhead tests. Confirming earlier reporting by Newsweek and the Federation of American Scientists, U.S. Undersecretary of Defense John Root announced Tuesday that the U.S. Navy has fielded the W-76-2 low-yield submarine-launched ballistic missile (SLBM) warhead as part of a strategy to counter moves by potential adversaries like Russia.